Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Lilcott. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page. Got to learn how to talk this morning. Welcome to the morning card draw live stream. And we are under some gorgeous weather. Did anybody feel that full moon and the eclipse yesterday? Holy smokes. It was pretty intense, I think. There's a lot of reveal yesterday, that's for sure. Wow. Well, hello, Mary Sakowitz and Rochelle. Good morning to you, ladies. And it looks like Elise just popped in too. That means that Marianne is probably listening as well. Good morning, ladies. And we got caffeine this morning. Caffeine. What do they call that? Leaded? Went leaded or unleaded? Do you remember that? I think it was back in like the 70s or 80s when you go. No, we didn't see it. No, the full moon eclipse was seen in the southern hemisphere, I guess. Regardless, needless to say, even though we can't see it, we certainly can still feel it. And I thought, things are going pretty good. I was doing pretty well. I made sure that when I got up yesterday, I got specifically, consciously got grounded and then said, okay, we're gonna witness. We're gonna see how this all unfolds, and getting all the blessings of this eclipse and the full moon. Yeah, and things are going pretty well actually, up until yesterday late afternoon. And this was about revealing things too, a lot of emotional stuff, things that we've been holding on to for a really long time, that kind of thing. And so I got to witness something and then think, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually involved in this. Oh, all right. And then, slowing down and really looking at it and feeling the emotions around it, and then letting it go, working at letting it go. And I have to say that when I got up this morning, I felt so much better. It's like, wow, that was quite a release. I had a cramp in my leg. It's like I never get cramps in my legs. And I had one in my calf muscle, and it was like, ow, 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 ow. But I don't know how my body was reacting to all of that. But anyway, it took a few hours to work through, and I was up until 1 a.m. last night working on the magazine. And so when I finally got into bed, and I thought, okay, we made it through. A sigh of relief. Good morning, Rob and Rochelle. And hey, yeah, that's true. That's very true. Elise, we didn't see it, but we definitely felt it. Yeah. The card that we got this morning always makes me smile whenever, and it doesn't matter, anytime, however it comes to me. It makes me smile. We got the drum this morning. It's about rhythm and internal timing. Yeah. And the artwork here is what they're showing is what's called a Taos drum. That's the taller one. And the one that is a little bit bigger and round, that's a double-headed drum. How can I tell? Is because of on the edge of the bigger drum. Let's see if I can show that. The edge, right where my finger is. You can see the lacing, how they cross over. That means that it's a double-headed drum. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, makes me smile. Makes me smile, and it's kind of funny because I thought, oh man, I just took all the drums back down to the house yesterday from up here, up at the academy, and why would I do that? Well, we're going to be, I've got my fingers crossed, as the construction people will be here sometime next week or within the next 10 days or so. And And so I'm just getting prepared for them rather than waiting till the last minute. And the wall that the drums were hanging on here is the wall, one of the walls that they're going to be actually working on the other side in the garage area, in the storage area. And so I didn't want anything falling off the walls. So I took all my drums. I only have one here. One of my main drum is still with me here. So yeah, Rob is saying leg cramps are my life. Yeah, it's not like I never get them. It's like I hardly ever get them. And had one in my right calf, and it's like, so I rubbed on it and pressed on it for it to release, and it wouldn't release. It's like, what the heck? And so I actually stood up and had to stand on it for it to release. And I used some wintergreen oil on it, and it's fine. It's fine this morning. But it was like, well, what's that all about? Yeah. But in the feeling of the emotions and a situation being revealed to me, it brought up old, what I thought emotions that I had dealt with, and of course it's going to come back around, another layer of healing, right? And yeah, I have to say that calling on my spiritual team to show me, what is this all about? I need some clarity around this. Why is this happening now? And then I realized that how it was dovetailed, connected to the lunar eclipse and the full moon. And so, the full moon is about completion, right? And so I thought, okay, let's work through this. That gives me a better perspective on it rather than going into the negative emotions about it, right? It's like, all right, what do we have to do? What do I have to do to work through this piece? And we did, and it's all good. So it was right just before I finally made the realization about the connection between the lunar eclipse and this release is when I got the leg cramp. And so I was thinking, okay, right leg, forward movement. We got to do something about this. And yeah, I just love the way the spirit kind of works things through for, brings it to us so we can work through it. Yeah. And making the conscious decision. I'm going to stay above the fray and try to be as positive about this as I can be. Of course, the initial response is, what did I do? I was just minding my own beeswax. And so I'm sure you guys have experienced something like that too. The drum. I was wondering, this is the second time we've gotten this card since we've been doing the card draws. And so I was asking my team about what do we need to cover that we didn't cover before that's important for today. And basically it was, the drum, the beat of the drum reminds us, helps us to remember our connection to Grandmother Earth. Our connection, we heard this beat when we were in utero, right? We heard our biological mother's heartbeat. We also heard our own heartbeat. But we also, as spirit, we also feel the heartbeat of Grandmother Earth. And so, and there's a rhythm to it, right? There's a rhythm to it. And when we look at our lives overall, all of us two-leggeds have a certain rhythm to our life. And this card draw is about that second half the internal timing. The internal timing. That we have it's already a part of us. It's already in us to recognize our internal timing. But sometimes we get so dang busy that we don't pay attention to certain things. And because we kind of get into a rut, don't we? We do certain things during certain times, and we go a certain route, and sometimes it's meant to make our lives a little bit easier, because when we put something into a certain rhythm, we remember to do things, and the timing piece in our life. And so, some people might actually call it a ritual, but we all have it. When we get up in the morning, we do, the shower, the brushing of the teeth. I have a certain pattern with mom's stuff in the morning, and we have certain food on certain days. And so, and why is that? Is that it helps me to remember what day it is. Because otherwise our days are pretty much the same around here. And so we all have that. And it's good, but sometimes what happens is that we just get into the rut, and we start doing things without paying attention. And it's like when you're driving home. If you get a 9-to-5 and you drive a certain streets all the time to get from your front door to the front door of your employment, that after a while it just becomes rote. You don't even realize or see things along the way anymore, because it's something that you've seen every day, and you end up looking past it because, okay, it's there, right. So anyway, internal timings. Hey, Stephanie's here. Good morning, Stephanie. Yeah, and Rob is saying that was a powerful eclipse. Yes, it was. That energy was, wow. I was going to say smoking, but it was pretty intense. Rochelle says, I can't wait to show you the raccoon on your cards. Well, we'll look at it again. Everybody look for the raccoon. Where is the raccoon on the cards that Rochelle sees? I know it's in the top portion, right, Rochelle? Yeah, I still can't see it. Rochelle, I believe that raccoon is just for you. Rob is saying, stretch the muscle, hydrate. Yeah. The thing is, Rob, is that I was hydrated, because when I'm working on the magazine, well, working in general, I generally have my glass of water next to me, and throughout the day, I must drink maybe 6 of those, 7 of those, besides the other things, the other beverages I drink. And I actually had a banana yesterday too. So, I think, and I'm just glad it was a cramp and not a Charlie horse. I actually have never, I don't think I've ever had a Charlie horse. Nope, can't think of one time. My dad used to get them a lot. But yeah, you're right. The things that help is to be hydrated. And, the stretching, that's a good one. I haven't stretched in a few days, so that could also have something to do with it. Rob, Prince Spaghetti on Wednesday. I know. My husband says that, it's been Prince Spaghetti Day. That's when he's cooking on Wednesdays. But what I was referring to is the breakfasts. It's like Wednesdays is oatmeal day. And I make enough for leftovers so that on Friday, it's oatmeal day. Saturday is either French toast, or if we have enough oatmeal left over, oatmeal. Sundays is usually some sort of egg, however she wants it fixed. So there's certain days that we have in the mornings for breakfast, for mom's breakfast, that we have certain things. Yeah. Okay, so Rob sees it too. Rob sees the raccoon too. It's the raccoon. In German, I like this word. In German, it's called a wash bear. A wash bear. Because they wash their food. That raccoon. Yeah. Okay. Rochelle's saying try zinc. I could give that a whirl. Yeah, it's like I can't even remember the last time I had a leg cramp. Wait, I think I do. 2 years ago, when we were on our trip to England, Wales, and Ireland. Yes. And Terry Ruel helped me out. I think it was Terry. She had, or maybe it was Bev Borman. It's one of those two ladies. They had potassium tablets. And so I took one of those. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the last time I had a leg cramp. And that was from all the hiking and not doing some preparation for that trip, like hiking here with my hikers on, my boots on. Yeah, so that was the last time I had a leg cramp. Rob says, I get them when I go too hard in class and too long on a walk. Yeah, and add my hikers to that too long of a walk, and that's what I was going through when I think we were in England, Glastonbury, at that time. Oh, that's a good one. Stephanie's saying, check the different types of salts you're eating. All right, so we have the pink Himalayan salt in the raw form. In other words, it's there's very little done to it, yeah, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We have some sea salt, white sea salt that Paul likes to use, but generally speaking, it's the pink Himalayan salt that I use in the raw form. Hi, Mary Summers. I'm so glad you're here with us. Stephanie says, I have to go. I'll catch the replay when I get back. Okay. Thanks for stopping in, Stephanie. Have a good day, okay? They don't have saliva ducts, raccoons. I didn't know that. Huh. All right, let's get back to the card. See how easy it is for us to get diverted. All right, so this is the card that was drawn today, Rhythm and Internal Timing. And when I was asking my spiritual team about what is this about this card energy today that's important for us to focus on, and they were telling me about the internal timing. That many times during the day and just in the flow of our day, that we don't pay attention to our own internal timing. Our bodies have certain rhythms to them innately. Okay, so for instance, there's everybody has this a certain time of day where your physical energy kind of does a dip. Okay, does a dip. And a lot of people, like me included, sometimes what we'll do is we'll add some caffeine at that time, just to give that boost. Lots of other times what I'll do is I'll go for a short walk to get my energy, level back up. Depending on the day and what's going on, in the old days, I might actually take a short nap, like a 20-minute nap or so. That was in the old days. But that, just being aware of how your day is flowing and that you can see your own internal timing, that your special rhythm to a day and an evening. Some people are night people. They get their second wind at 9:30 or 9 o'clock at night, where there's other people who they're in bed by 9:30 or 9 o'clock at night. right? So we all have our own special rhythm to our day, that internal timing. Now that's to our physical body. There's also internal timing to other aspects of us, our mental body, our emotional body, right? And our spiritual body. Yeah. And even for women, we can tell, we can feel the change in our biology, in our chemistry, just before, like 10 days, a week before we have our period, right? We can feel it. Even though you're through menopause, you still have that same timing. Even though you're not menstruating anymore, you still have that same, because it might be a body memory, it could be a chemical memory, I don't know, but we have certain internal timings that happen throughout our day and throughout our evening. Yeah. And have you guys recognized that in yourself? A lot of people are unaware of it. It's like we're in a rut, and so we don't recognize it, we don't see it, we don't sense it. It's like that drive to and from work. It's the same thing. So you don't pay any attention to it, right? And Rob is saying we can use differential calculus to calculate the slope of that tangent. Maybe you could, Rob. Maybe you could, and maybe Paul could actually do that too. But not this chick. Rochelle, Lottie's saying, huh? I know. Isn't that right? It was all, some people would say, Rob, that's all Greek. Now, I know you have something about Greek and math and that. So let's see what the next comment's going to be from Rob. I know I did the same thing, Rochelle. Huh? Although I do know what calculus is, and I do know slope and tangent. I didn't know about differential calculus, though. All right. So back to our internal timing. There are people who can sense shifts before they happen. Some of those people are empathic. And I'm talking about how energetically we can feel parts of our internal timing. Okay. And I think that has to do also with how we take in all kinds of information, how our light body decodes that information before it hits our physical body. And so all of that internal timing is very unique to each one of us. No two people are exactly the same in their internal timing. And even, did you ever hear the phrase that he or she walks to a beat of a different drum, right? It's kind of like what we're talking about, because the drum, in many ways, especially depending on how you play it and what you play it for and what kind of drum it is. If it's a more of a formal way of playing a drum, you might actually have sheet music. You'll have a metronome when you first start to learn how to play a drum, so that you can keep a constant beat. You're the pace setter of the group, the musical group. And honestly, I have used a metronome with both my Native American hand drum and also my bodhran. Well, I'm still learning how to play that, but it's because the drummer is the one who keeps the beat, keeps the constant, right? And so when we turn our attention to our internal timing, that's connected to our heartbeat, we can understand ourselves in a much different way, a different perspective. It's a way of going deeper within to recognize our internal timings and and to actually work with them rather than working against them. Yeah. All right. So, Lee says, Rob, speaking English. Rob, Newton was English. You guys are crack me up. Good morning, Marlene Farrell. Good morning. Rob is saying the term that I think you mean the term to different strokes to them to different strokes. Don't get that. Marlene, good morning, all. I need to hear this today. So true. God bless you. Thank you, Marlene. I appreciate that. Okay, that makes so much more. Yeah. So Rob meant the theme to different strokes. Yes. Different strokes for different folks. Yes. And Rochelle, my parents would say that to me all the time. Yeah. 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 And, I have to admit that there's many of us in a spiritual community that when we, in our childhood, in our adolescence, our young adulthood, we were probably out of step many times with our peers, right? You try to fit in and it's like, it just doesn't quite fit. That was me anyway. I wanted to have deep conversations about spiritual stuff. But on the other hand, I was also, I also like to dance and that kind of thing. So not, and being Native American in a town that made money off from Native Americans, but was a very racial, prejudice town. They didn't like us, but they needed us, right, for the money. And so, having conversations with people sometimes was difficult. But that's how I learned how to be a good listener and realize that's one of my gifts is how to be a good listener. And so being different, and it's okay. And we eventually find the rhythm, the same rhythm within a community where we can settle in and be more of ourselves and have the kind of conversations like we do in the mornings like this, and still have fun, and not be totally serious about everything. But when we can have the opportunity to look deeper within ourselves, to understand ourselves in as many different perspectives as possible, that to me is soul growth. And when we face those things that our shadow selves, when we count coup, remember that? When we count coup on our opponent, which is our shadow self, and face those parts of us that that are more darker in a way, more negative, the fear, the anger, the emotions. I did that yesterday afternoon. Face that shadow self. It's like turn around and look at that. And so that internal timing, when we have the opportunity to look at it and see it and step out of the rut and actually see what's around us, right? Okay, so Rob is saying drums were used to keep marching time in military formation back in the day. That's true. That's very true. And to march to the beat of a different drummer was to break ranks. Yes, it was. And I didn't, okay, that is fabulous, Rob, because those of us in spiritual communities, when we say that when people tell us that we march to a different drummer or walk to a different beat, we are breaking ranks, aren't we? We are breaking ranks. That because we're awake, we woke up. And so, yeah, we do. I think it's a compliment. Oh my gosh, that was a good one. Thank you, Rob. And Julie's here. Yay, Julie. Julie Hedges is here. She says, "Good morning, beautiful friend." Good morning, Julie. Um, she goes, "Oh yeah, that shadow can bite." We were just talking about the lunar eclipse yesterday, and I'm sure that there's probably residual today from it. But yesterday was kind of intense. Um, yeah, and Marlene saying good morning to Julie. So inspiring. Thank you, Marlene. Um, and so we're talking about, this is the card that came for those who just joined us, about the drum and focusing in more on the internal timing, that we all have a unique internal timing to our life, our daily life, our seasonal life, in all aspects, in all of our bodies, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and the mental. Yeah. And we have the opportunity to be able to look at ourselves a little bit deeper and recognize what our unique internal timing is. I have to say the easier one to look at is your physical internal timing. I think the more challenging one is probably the spiritual and I don't know. It's kind of a toss up between the emotional and mental. Those are the two aspects I think that are difficult for us to look at and to be honest with ourselves about what we're looking at. Um, the emotional piece is looking at those traumas that have occurred to us in our lives and that we haven't healed from yet, or that we haven't completed the healing. And the mental one, that's our ego. Yeah, that's where we get to learn about more about discerning what is really going on here with me. How, is this an ego thing? What is your rule of thumb when your ego is the one that's out of balance? Yeah, we all have it. What's the one trait that you have when you know that your ego is the one that's leading the charge? We got all these military terms today. That's in the lead rather than your heart. We all have it. All right. Yeah. Eileen said, I would always smile so big when someone would say that about the walking to the beat of a different drummer. Yep. Rochelle says, my dad also said that I was a nonconformant. I know. Yeah. Sometimes we're the disruptor, and without even really meaning to be the disruptor. Sometimes we say something and everybody, those people that are have a different perspective about something that's more what I'm going to call mainstream. And they look at you as like, why are you upsetting the apple cart? Just get on board. Just go with it. It's like, but I can't. Yeah, the conformist. Yep. Too much pride. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, we all have it. And I think that it's a healthy thing to know that about ourselves, is when we know what that trigger is, when we know what that behavior or that emotion is, that, oh, that's my ego thing. Okay, I know how to deal with this. We need to balance this out. Part of me, that was the part yesterday, an aspect of it. It's like, oh, okay, that's an out of balance ego thing. All right, let's look at that. Why did that bother me so much? That's the ego thing. All right. I know I know through what I went through last year in 2017, how to deal with that. And so I did. And it's nice. It's nice to know that when I got up this morning, the shift could feel it. All right. So Jamie Sams, what she wrote about this card is she says all life has rhythm, whether in this physical or spirit worlds. The drum allows us to access the patterns of life force inside and outside of ourselves so that we may come to understand that all exists simultaneously. This simultaneous unified beat is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. When we cross the border into parallel universes, we find the unified heartbeats is that of the great mystery. If we have ever experienced those rhythms, we may then share them through the drum to show others the rhythms of all creation. Yeah. It makes me smile. Julie, this is a good show topic. How you know when ego is running the show? Yeah, that would be. Oh, Elise, we all love Neshi. Thank you. I love you guys too. I miss you guys when we don't do this morning stuff. This morning non-show, as Elise calls it. Rob, when you realize that there is no I in team, but there is an M and E in ego is out of balance. That's true. That's true. That's a good one. And and the thing is that sometimes it's just in the recognizing of it. When you say, I see you, I acknowledge that. And sometimes that's all it takes. Other times, especially when we haven't looked at that aspect of ourselves, or we're in the rut and we're not really acknowledging our unique rhythm, internal timing, that we ignore it. Or I'm using that metaphor about driving home, the same route home and to work every day, that we don't see things that are there anymore because we see it every day, twice a day. And after a while, you don't see it. You don't see it because it's always there. I was just thinking about when we used to drive Paul and I would drive from where we used to live in Wisconsin was, we lived in Marshfield and worked in Wisconsin Rapids. And that is probably a good 20, 30-minute drive, okay? And the same route, because there's back roads that you could take, but it'd take you longer. That's really the long cut. And the state highway was really the shortest distance. And there's this little town called, oh shoot, now I can't even remember the name of it. It'll come to me. But there's this little town in between. And I wouldn't even see it. It's because it's still there, but Pittsville, that's it. It's Pittsville. And so I would have to think, okay, did I pass Pittsville yet? Because that was the halfway point. And I would have to look at the landscape to see whether or not I had passed Pittsville. But is the same route every single day. So, you just get used to it, right? Same way with our internal timing. We just get used to doing the same thing, feeling the same way, but we don't recognize it anymore. We don't see it. It's not until we stop, we pause, and we say, well, what was that? What's different? What is that? You need to let go of the ego, the ego. It's not the ego, it's the ego. Okay. So the application of the card. She says that you're being asked to find your own internal timing. You may be pushing too hard or missing a beat. In any case, being out of sync calls for a realignment with the body's needs. Rhythm is a personal thing. To honor your own rhythm is to come back into harmony with self. From this point, personal comfort allows you to harmonize with other rhythms of life. She's saying, slow down and rediscover the heartbeat of your true mother, and then the synchronicity of your movements will be effortless. In all cases, rhythm is the key. If it feels right, you become the music, and the dance you are dancing becomes a celebration of life. So we have an opportunity today to have this information brought to us. And even if we say, what is that my internal timing? And just pick one to acknowledge. That small step. It's a small step. And then we get to ask, which animal relative can help us to understand with clarity and more depth the essence of the drum card, right? And this one, I just thought, what, really? All right. So this is who came. Weasel. Weasel is about stealth, according to Jamie Sams. Now you have to admit, Weasel has a bad reputation, bad rap, right? Rob is saying, obviously we can experience energies of a place. Is it possible that energies can be caught in a time rhythmically? I think so. Let's see. A good example would be, how about historic places that draw a lot of people, like Civil War kind of historical sites. And because the people, human energy, keeps a certain vibration or frequency in place. So that landscape, that part of Grandmother Earth in that spot or those spots can kind of get stuck in a loop. That makes sense. That's why that's why it's hard to clear those areas. It's hard to help those who are in the astral plane, earthbound, to move on, is because they get a certain amount of energy from that space. And we do that because we show up and we spend time there, like in Gettysburg and in those kind of historical places. So I think it can happen. Rob is saying, and not just the energies of nature, but imposing our own. I believe so. She said, Julie, are you listening? What does that mean? What does that mean? All right, so Weasel. When I first pulled the card and I was looking at the artwork before I started reading, it's like, what do I know about Weasel? I know that the Weasel family, there's a part called ermine, yeah, and they can change the color of their coat, their fur, from season to season. So, like in winter, their fur is white because it's camouflage for them, right? And I know that many Native Americans, in their traditional regalia, they use ermine to decorate their regalia. And I thought, well, we're not the only people who use ermine. That there is, in Europe, royalty would use ermine fur. So they're wearing the energy of the ermine, which is in the weasel family. Why does weasel get such a bad reputation? Because they're known for stealth, right? Julie goes, Weasel laughed out loud. I know. There's a joke in that, not suitable for the show, but a wicked joke. This is exactly what I need to hear today. I was meant to be here. Yeah. I'm so glad you're here, though. I know. I had to look at that. So, yeah, ermine is one harvested for fur coat. Sad. Yes, it's true. That's true. So, with weasel, we have those different sayings about, oh, you're such a weasel. It's like, and I had to stop and think about that. It's like, what does that mean when you call somebody a weasel? I do know that when you carry weasel as a totem or a power animal, that is a challenging energy to carry. And I think it's because of the belief system around it, the thoughts around weasel. And where did they get such a bad reputation from, because a lot of times they're connected with taking chickens, and yeah. And they're easy. They get through an opening so small, and it's easy for them to get in and out, right? So I had to stop and think about that a little bit. Here is what Jamie Sam says about weasel. She says, weasel is an incredible amount of energy and ingenuity, yet it's a difficult power totem to have. It's not without significance that ermine and weasel pelt are worn by royalty. Weasel ears, I've never thought of their ears before, hear what is really being said. Weasel eyes see beneath the surface of a situation to know the many ramifications of an event. It's a rare gift. Weasel fur changes color with the seasons. Silent weasel has many lessons to teach you. Weasel could confound Great Spirit, pick Great Spirit's pockets, and then leave Great Spirit contemplating the divine navel. This is hilarious. She says, if this is your personal medicine, your powers of observation is keen. I'm going to say that again. Your powers of observation is keen. She says, look to weasel power to tell you the hidden reasons behind anything. The hidden reasons. So how does that go with the drum card? That was my question to my spiritual team. How do these two cards go together? Because seemingly they wouldn't go together. These two cards. If we're looking at, let me do this. If we're looking at the internal timing part of the drum card, and we're looking at the opportunity that's before us to really look deeper within ourselves and our own unique timing. And we just said that, sometimes it's hard to take a look at that ourselves in that way, to see ourselves in a different perspective, and to be honest with ourselves about it, so we can understand ourselves deeper. Weasel energy can help us do that. It is a keen observer. A keen observer. Yeah. Okay, Julie, have a good day. She says, love to all of you. I have to jump off for an appointment, but I will re-listen. I need to learn more about drum timing and weasel stealth. Yes. So that's how Weasel can help us to understand the essence of the drum card with more clarity and with more depth. Because Weasel is known for keen observation. I didn't never even thought about their ears and their hearing before, but they hear what's really being said. In their observations, watching, they see what's really going on, right? So Weasel can help us to understand aspects of ourselves, to be honest with ourselves, because the Weasel medicine is going to hear the real your personal truth, your personal truth, and that is a huge gift, huge gift. You know, when it comes to what the easy parts we can do, it's like I can do that, and we do. We do the easy parts. It's the harder, more challenging parts that we either procrastinate about, we ignore, we refuse to look at those aspects of ourselves in a deeper way so that we know ourselves better. But Weasel can help us. Weasel can help us to help us see it and see it for what it really is, and to also hear. It's like putting the thin ears on. You know, we talked about that, the Onondaga Nation, and how they refer to putting the thin ears on. In other words, being able to listen to spirit. And so with Weasel, it's kind of the same way, but we can call on Weasel, and so I'm never going to use, hardly ever used it anyway, but when you're talking to somebody and you're calling them, you're just a weasel, or when you're thinking about somebody, especially in, elected officials, they're such a weasel. We have to rethink that. Because if Weasel medicine is about hearing what's really going on and seeing, being a keen observer so you can see what's really going on, we're misusing that term. We're misusing it. So interesting. It's interesting to be able to pair these two up in that way, isn't it? Yeah. And I have to share this is the other day when I think it was Thursday afternoon, we did the card information, but we had some time left, and I did some drumming to be able to send a prayer out, prayers, because you guys prayed too, for Stephanie and Ben, remember? Well, I have to work with some of the video to get it uploaded. I'm having a challenge with getting it uploaded to YouTube. So I'm working with that, and I had to re-listen to part of it, and I realized how differently the drum sounds on the video. You guys are missing out on this deep, rich voice of the buffalo drum, that 22-inch drum. It doesn't sound anything like that on the recording. So I don't know about using the drum as part of that drumming. You guys are the ones that have to hear it, and what that drum sound goes like. Bob says, "Pop Goes the Weasel" as a theme to the Three Stooges didn't help. I know. Why do we have, as this mass consciousness, have this perspective of Weasel? And it's not a very positive perspective of Weasel on the mass consciousness. How did that start? And why do we keep perpetuating it? We can be the nonconformists. We can break that cycle today. Weasel is good medicine. It's a medicine that can help us see things for what they really are more clearly, to see beneath what's on the surface, right? Yeah, and we can to hear what's really going on, to hear the truth of a situation. So we can change that. Our little group here, we can be the what was that, Rochelle, a nonconformist? Or break that cycle. So anyway, getting back to the drum, and then I'm going to let you guys go, is I have to make a decision on whether or not we're going to use the drum on the videos and the live streams. Because I tell you what, I'm going, oh my God, that's what you guys hear? You're missing out on the deep, rich voice of a buffalo drum. And so I'm going to have to see how things go with that and ask Spirit, what are we really doing with this? Rochelle, that was really nice and tender. Yeah, the drumming, that prayer. Rochelle said it was a great sound. Really? Oh, good. Because I don't want to offer you the sound of the drum if it's going to be, hurtful to your ears. That's for sure. Rob says, I don't know, but they must have been an agricultural pest like a crow. That could be. Rochelle, all around the mulberry bush. Oh, gosh. And Rob says, we are the nonconformants. That's true. That's true. And we say it with pride. We say it with love. Let's change that one too. We say it with love. All right. So please take whatever you heard here today about the drum and the weasel, about the internal timing, and take what resonated with you, right? Hold on to it. See how it flows. The energy flows and unfolds for you today. And just notice it, right? Notice if you're that participant or if you are a witness to something that's occurring. Yeah. And if it didn't resonate, that's okay. That's all right. We had a good time together. We drank our coffee or our tea together, and we had some laughs. Thank you, Rob, for providing some of that entertainment. And maybe it's just a planting of a seed, or maybe if it didn't resonate with you, maybe you're a messenger. Maybe you can pass it on to someone that you know that might benefit, right? I'm looking for that kind of information. So have a good rest of your Saturday. Now tomorrow, remember tomorrow I am not going to be doing a live stream in the morning. I get a chance to sleep in tomorrow morning. It doesn't happen too often. So when the opportunity comes around, I say yes. Rob says, Neshi and the Nonconformants. Doesn't it sound like a band? It sounds like a band name. Yeah, so I won't be here tomorrow morning. I will be back with you on Monday morning, same time. But I think I'm going to pull out a different deck of cards. Because when I was going through some stuff yesterday, the sacred geometry cards kind of came out, and I'm looking at them. I think, oh, I don't know. I haven't used that deck in a long time either. So we'll see. Maybe we'll be doing some sacred geometry cards for a while and give Jamie a little bit of a rest. Although she's been very good to us, hasn't she? Bringing her knowledge and her spirit through the cards. So enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here on Monday morning, okay? All right. Bama Mina, until we see each other again.